Welcome. Welcome to another of our interviews with the dead. I have the honor of having with me two celebrated dead Americans of my generation who, like me, left the living too early. And while I had an affair with one of them and only met the other one briefly, I have always admired both of them very much. The handlers told us we have to keep this interview brief, something to do with space-time distortion. So let me start, but not before I thank my dear friend Dr. Ramez Malouf for inviting me to host this conversation. Here with me, on one side, is a dear American president, John Kennedy, known to me as Jack, who is better looking and smarter than any other president that has followed him since his death in 1963. Welcome, President Kennedy.
Thank you, Marilyn. I am very excited to be here, and not just because of what you're wearing. I am very excited to have this opportunity to address the living, particularly my fellow Americans, in this very significant historic moment.
And also here, someone who transformed American pop culture with his voice and tunes. We danced to his music and fell in love to his lyrics. He is also better looking than any president that succeeded President Kennedy. Thank you, Elvis Presley, for joining us.
Hey, Marilyn. It's so nice to see you. You look so fine. Thank you for inviting me to join you and our dear President Kennedy.
Let me start with the president. Jack, did you really like me, or were you just interested in the sex? Don't lie, please. Presidents always lie. Did Jackie ever find out about us? And what do you think of President Trump? I know he is fat and old, but I am not talking about that. What do you think of what he's doing? You know, war and stuff.
Thank you, Marilyn. If Jackie didn't know, she knows now. Of course I liked you. Look at you. Can anyone not like you? And don't worry about Jackie. She is living with Aristotle Onassis, the man she married after I died. That's the way it works here. You end up with your last spouse. What about Trump? Well, he will end up with Melania if she ends up being his last wife. I think they are intellectually compatible, so that's always a good thing. Yes, he's fat and has a different view on dignity than I had. Different upbringing, but that's fine. We can't all be the same.
No, I meant what you thought of the war Trump is waging. You know, Venezuela, Iran, Cuba. Is he doing the right thing? Some people like it, others don't. The United States is a mess today.
Can I say something about that? Sorry to interrupt. But I believe that the United States...
Sorry, Elvis. Just a minute. I want to hear what President Kennedy has to say about this. I think he is trying to avoid answering this question. Jack, I believe you have an opinion, and living Americans have a right to know what you think. Dead people maybe don't care what happens, but to the living, this is very important.
Well, Marilyn, you are forcing me to start smoking again with your question. Look, the honest truth is that it is very hard for me to judge President Trump, because I don't know what kind of information he has that I don't. He's being briefed every day. I am not. Of course, he is a very vulgar man and has done some despicable, immoral, and illegal things. But who can throw that first stone? Fat, vulgar, undignified, yes. But I really don't have an opinion on his wars.
Look, let me say something about Trump being vulgar. I agree, but America today is into that. Everyone is more vulgar than they were when we were alive. I remember people in the media talking about me that way, saying the way I performed was vulgar. But by today's standards, I would be very respectable. Look at what performers do today. Even I find that vulgar. Can't compare the demeanor of Trump to that of presidents during my time. Certainly not to Eisenhower, Kennedy, or even Nixon. So the country has changed, and the interesting thing is that so-called conservatives are the ones who like Trump the most.
Elvis, dear, tell us, what kind of music are you listening to these days? Anyone among the living that you enjoy?
There are a lot of great musicians out there among the living, but because everything here is so quiet and serene, I have taken a liking to, believe it or not, classical music. Still, I enjoyed Michael Jackson, Gary Moore. I understand Michael visits the same club I do, but have never run into him. Among the living, I love Bruno Mars and Bad Bunny, many others too. What about you, Marilyn?
I liked all of those you mentioned too, and I liked classical music even when I was alive. Both of my husbands, Arthur and Joe, taught me to appreciate it. I love Ravel, I love Pavarotti. He has such a great voice. He sings every Thursday at the Inferno, a club near my home. Well, the handlers want me to wrap this up, so let me ask you, First, Jack, do you know who killed you? Your assassination remains such a mystery. Did you learn anything new about who was responsible for your death? And Elvis, is it true that your manager, I forget his name, was it Colonel Tom Taylor? It is said that he cashed most of your money and wouldn't schedule any concerts for you abroad because he was an illegal immigrant and didn't want to run the risk of not being able to come back to the States if he traveled with you. Is that true? You first, President Kennedy.
Yes, Marilyn, I know who killed me. I know those who are responsible for my death. Jack Ruby, you may remember, was the man who shot Lee Harvey Oswald, who fired the shot that killed me. Jack Ruby told me why he did it and who blackmailed him into doing it. I know exactly who was responsible. I will tell you in private when you come over for dinner. There is no point adding fuel to the fire that is consuming the United States today. Come over tonight and we can talk about it. I also know who gave you all those barbiturates that killed you.
Thank you, Jack, but no. I am dating Sean Connery, and he is a very jealous man, and I don't want any trouble. Elvis?
Don't date Sean Connery. Leave that fantasy buried. He's charming, yes, but darling, he is already married. Don't wander off to dinners with strangers passing through. Save every seat and every bite. Reserve them just for two. And yes, my manager, Tom Parker, though not a colonel, true, did everything you mentioned just exactly as you knew. He played the part, he made the call, he followed every spark. A title just for show, you see, a name to leave its mark. So I'll be here, awaiting you, beneath the evening light. I'll sing for you with all I have, deep into the night. Each note a thread that pulls you close, each word a soft embrace, until you gently ask me, love, to end this serenade.
Thank you, Elvis. That was very sweet. I might drop by later today, on condition you add a tune to that serenade. By the way, I know Sean is married, but his wife is not dead yet. At least, that is what he told me. Well, the damn handlers are breathing down my neck. So, thank you, President Kennedy. The U.S. is in need of men and women like you who might bring some dignity into the office. And Elvis, it was great to see you again. Like I said, I might drop by later. And dear viewers, thank you for joining us in this episode of our Interviews with the Dead. Bye for now, until we meet again.